Hello beautiful souls and welcome to my channel. Thank you for joining me. My name's Ashley Marshall. Today I'm going to be doing a tarot card reading for all of the 12 signs of the zodiac for the super full moon happening this Sunday in Libra. So full moons happen when the sun and the moon are opposite and the moon is reflecting the sun's light. And on Sunday the sun will actually be opposing the moon, and the sun is also forming close connections with Venus and Chiron. So this super full moon in Libra may be a lot about taking a look at our close relationships and our wounds within those. So it could be bringing up past wounds, traumas, family trauma showing up in our relationships. And as we know, Libra rules relationships, contracts, things like that. You can go to astro.com to enter your birth information. You'll need your birthplace, date, and time in order to see where that falls for you. And when I do this reading, I really encourage you to look at your rising sign as well, as most readings, horoscopes are going to be based on rising sign. And so I always encourage you to look at the rising sign for the tarot reading as well. And of course you can look up your sun sign and your moon sign too. And I also encourage you, if you're a triple threat, like a triple Aries or a triple Libra, then definitely maybe focus on that one. You're going to have a lot more of that heavy energy in your chart. And what else? Oh, Aries season is blooming, has started spring, and marks the spring equinox. And the reason it's such a big deal in the astrology world is because it really is kind of like the astrological new year. So manifesting, planting those seeds, and celebrating the year to come. It's kind of nice because if January and February and most of March didn't go so well for you, then you get this fresh restart, right? So I am going to go in order of the signs, and again, I really encourage you to look at your rising sign as well. Also, if you're a cardinal sign, that starts the seasons, winter, summer, fall, spring, and I really encourage you, or not encourage you, then you may be feeling this full moon more potently. Also, if you were born during a full moon, you may be feeling more comfortable during this full moon because it's kind of your MO. It's like going back home. And you can find that information out again at astrostyle.com. You can also Google Astrostyle Moon Calculator and it should bring that up, and you will need your birth information again, time, place, and date to enter that to find out what moon phase you were born during. And it's kind of another fun thing you can do. So this is my new essential oil dispenser, and I'm loving it. It's nice. I have some lavender in there. Okay, so I already had a card fall out for Aries. So again, this is really around, the theme of this is for that full moon, in Libra that's happening this Sunday. So really taking a look at ourselves, our, relationships, and how those are flowing and functioning and feeling and what needs to change. So Aries, it's backwards for you, but just so you can look at the picture, this is sacrifice. Okay, and these are my new mermaid oracle cards. There are those worth making, so sacrifices, and there are those that will destroy you. So when we think of this within the theme of the super full moon in Leo, I'm thinking that this is about sacrifices made in your relationship. And so really kind of maybe reassessing and seeing where you have made too many, too few, possibly. I know that Aries can often be the sign of independence, and they can be seen as pretty selfish and really just going for themselves. So are you, Aries, making enough sacrifice? And this isn't for all Aries, right? Because I'm a Cancer sun and an Aries rising, and I would say that I over-sacrifice. So my Cancer energy really kind of trumps the Aries energy when it comes to independence. So yeah, where are you making sacrifices that maybe you're being taken advantage of? How is this feeling? How is this working for you? Or are you not making enough sacrifices? Because we do all need to in relationships. But there is that point where we have to, especially if we get taken advantage of easily, or we have that kind of other astrological energy of maybe a Cancer, as I said, where you are getting taken advantage of for your sacrifices. So it really could go either way, and it depends. If you're in Aries or an Aries rising, I would love to hear how that lands for you. So yeah, just checking on those sacrifices. Taurus, you got 2 that just fell out. The first one is soul cage, rescue, escape from captivity, and restriction. Are you feeling restricted maybe in your relationships? Yeah, maybe you feel like you feel restricted. Maybe you feel like you need to be rescued from either a bad relationship, or maybe it's a good relationship and it's just, quarantine has caused it to feel restrictive. Yeah, and this makes a lot of sense maybe for most of us in pandemic times, but this is for Taurus, so I would love to hear how that lands. And again, you got 2. This is second one is time and tide, oceanic spells and rituals. So are there some rituals maybe you can bring in around this this super full moon coming up? Maybe getting out by close to the water, yeah, and doing some ritual. Maybe that will help with that soul cage and that restricted feeling. Maybe it's a conversation you need to have with those that you're in a relationship with. Okay? A good ritual for a relationship if you're struggling, and this isn't just for people who are leaving our lives, we can, use this for people in our lives too. But a really nice practice is to cut your cords with them. So close your eyes, visually imagine the cords that are connecting the two of you. And you can do this at the grocery store, with family members. It doesn't mean you don't love them, and it doesn't mean you're sending them off away forever to die or anything. It's just you're cutting those energetic cords so that you're not carrying any of their baggage into, the rest of your day and your world. So closing your eyes, imagining those cords, and physically, pulling them away from you, or cutting them with scissors, can be really helpful. I was looking at these and I said to myself, I hope I don't get this because I don't know how to say conchomancy. Concho? I don't know, but Gemini, this is you. So seashell divination and the wisdom of shells. So this to me is another call to get out to the water, and it also is a message that things like crystals and stones are great, but they're not the only thing that carries energy to work with. So just picking up a random rock that you feel called to, or seashells, can be really powerful. So yeah, I think for Geminis, this is really a call to see what is around you that has wisdom to share with you, and to think outside the box of your regular, maybe gems and stones and things that you would typically go to, crystals, and see what else is out there, and maybe do a ritual for this super full moon happening in Libra, and maybe using those in rituals that you have, that you may be doing around relationship. So having the shells out when you're doing tarot card readings on yourself or something like that. Okay, Cancer. Let's see what Cancers have in store for this super full moon in Libra. Air. Breathing deep, entering into life, exchange of life, bringing energies. Air. When I first looked at this card, of course, I started breathing deep and I thought like, oh, this feels like such a call to do breath work or to try breath work if that feels good. So for Cancers, maybe really tuning into your breath, and maybe inviting your partner, you know, as they are both kind of breathing together. So maybe inviting more of that energy into your relationship and maybe doing ritual and practices together. And yeah, doing something to exchange life-bringing energies with your partner. So I really think this is kind of like a call, yeah, to do something that maybe you do normally alone in ritual and to invite your partner into doing some of those things with you. I know there's like tantric breathing and stuff like that you can do that's, you know, romantic and sensual. Yeah, I like that one. And maybe just really watching your breath, Cancers, as this super full moon happens. You're a cardinal sign, so this one could be hitting you intensely. And really us all. I mean, super full moons, super moons are when they're closest to the earth. So we're going to be, hopefully, if there's not too much fog here in San Francisco, seeing it. And when you can see it especially, you're even more feeling the energy of it. So Leo's divination, prophecy, fate, destiny, future, and fortune. Divination. So I think maybe this is a call to tune into the future of your relationships and what they have in store for you. Yeah, and maybe getting in tune with yourself to see what it is that you would think of as the characteristics of a relationship that you would like, that is destined to be, right? Yeah, and I think maybe another call to do some ritual to get in tune with what that is. Maybe get a reading. Or maybe it's just you that can take time to get quiet to do like your own tarot reading or energetic reading or just meditation. Meditating on your most important relationships, right? Because it's Libra themed. Or your contracts. You know, your business relationships too. Are those doing well? Okay, Virgo. Leave it. Good boy. Talking to my dog. Oh, I love this. Virgo, sisterhood, friendship, allies, compatible souls, loyalty, joy, delight. Ooh, this really feels like a call to nourish those female relationships and become part of a sisterhood and find your soul sisters, soul people, soul friends. Yeah, and Virgos are really loyal people, and so, yeah, I think they really deserve that in return. And really nourish these relationships because they are the joy and the delight of our souls, right? I love that for Virgo. Really beautiful card, too. Yeah, so Libra doesn't always rule, maybe friendships, but I think so. All Libras that I know have lots of relationships and lots of people in their lives and are good friends, certainly good friends. So, oh wait, that wasn't Libra, that was Virgo. Lots of Virgos I know though too are, but in a different way. Anyway, sorry. But Virgo, I feel like this is a real call to, nourish those female relationships in your life. So now Libra. Water flight, heaviness lifts, burdens are cast away, and weightlessness. So maybe Libras are going to get some relief in their relationships. Burdens cast away, heaviness lifts, and there's some weightlessness. I don't know, Libras, have you been feeling some heaviness in your relationships lately? I'd love to know. And that's a really good, I think, card to get. Scorpio. What do Scorpios have in store for them for this super full moon in Libra? Time out, awareness, contemplation, solitude, and time alone. So kind of the opposite of what maybe Libra rules. But again, it's, opposite is Aries, which rules independence. So maybe you do need to bring in some of that solitude and time alone, Scorpio, to figure out your relationships and to contemplate how things are working and going. And this is, of course, romantic and otherwise, work relationships. We know for Virgo is about friendships. Okay. So Sagittarius. Sagittarius, the travelers of the zodiac. My south node is in Sagittarius, and it's been a life's work to crawl to my north node in Gemini. Stay put, I'll tell you what. Okay, Sagittarius, vulnerability. Open your heart, allow yourself to be tender. So this is really interesting, I think, especially we've been talking about relationships, romantic and otherwise being the theme of this reading. So maybe it is time to be vulnerable. It's safe. I think this is a message that it's safe to open your heart, to allow yourself to be tender. And sometimes that's what relationships need, right? Especially if the other person is doing it a lot and maybe you're not. And maybe it's necessary and it's time, and that's what's going to open the door to more juiciness in your connections and relationships, right? Capricorn. What do Capricorns need to know for this super full moon in Libra? The mirror, know thyself, self-examination, seeing who you really are. So Capricorns, this might be a call to look within and your role in the relationship, and what are you bringing to the relationship, or maybe what's your relationship like with yourself right now, because we know that affects our romantic relationships, business relationships, and otherwise. So taking the time during this full moon to, yeah, know thyself, to self-examine, to see who you are and what you want out of the relationship, possibly too. And we're moving on to Aquarius. Aquarius. Sorry, I had to hear that. It is the age of Aquarius. Some astrologers think so. The math's a little wonky, so you may see that some astrologers don't agree that we are in the Aquarian age, but I lean toward the side of believing we are. Experiments, Aquarius. Manipulation of nature, forcing change, cruelty in the pursuit of knowledge, and arrogance. This kind of looks like a dark card, but I think that this one is really a call to maybe not to force change within a relationship with another person. Maybe there's some arrogance going on in the relationship. Maybe it's one-sided, two-sided. Maybe it's you, maybe it's them. Yeah, just this card feels like the energy of trying to make something fit that doesn't. Are there any Aquariuses that are feeling like maybe they are trying to make something fit that doesn't? Maybe a business partnership, maybe a romantic partnership. And of course, this isn't end-all be-all. It doesn't mean you have to go and break up, but maybe there's like that feeling of that energy. And I feel like, you know, the theme being experiments, I think maybe this is a call to experiment. What else can you bring into this relationship? Yeah. And what new things can you try aside from trying to force change on somebody else? That's kind of what I'm feeling with that. Aquarius, you'll have to let me know if that's feeling resonant. And Pisces, we're at the end. I'm a little sad. So what do Pisces need to know for the super full moon? Oh, they got 2. And Libra, so Pisces, adrift, letting go, allowing higher force to take charge for a time. So what in your relationships can you let go of? And maybe when you let go, you can look like this. That's like true weightlessness, right? This can be difficult, allowing for a higher force to take charge for a time. Maybe there is some of this energy that you can bring into your relationship. Maybe you have been trying to, a little bit like Aquarius, force the hand, force the direction of something. Where do you think you can bring in some of this energy to let go? To let go of control, to believe that in some aspect, things are taken care of, right? And then the other card you got, Pisces, was guide. A guide, a mentor, a trustworthy ally. So maybe you need to seek out a guide to help you through this contract, through this relationship. So again, you know, Libra in the 7th house rules contracts, business contracts between people, balance relationships. So maybe you can bring in a guide to create that balance, to look over the contract for you, to mentor you. Yeah. So that's Pisces. So Pisces, you got adrift. So letting go. What can you let go of in your relationships maybe? And just trust will work out, or work out for the best. Guide, maybe bringing in a guide or trusted mentor or ally. Aquarius, see where you are trying to force change and maybe try something new. Capricorn, really trying to take this time with the full moon to self-examine and see what you're bringing to the table in relationships. Sagittarius, try opening your heart and being a little vulnerable this full moon. Scorpio, maybe you need some time alone. Libra, maybe you're gonna feel like this full moon is really cleansing and clearing and taking the burdens away from that you've been feeling in your relationships. Virgo, really a call for sisterhood and friendships and allies and leaning on those important relationships. Leo, divination, prophecy, fate, destiny, future, fortune. What would you like the future of your relationships to be? Maybe you can manifest them. Maybe you can call it in. It is the astrological new year after all. Maybe you can make a relationship vision board. That's what I see here for you. Cancer, air, breathing. Maybe taking a breathwork class with your partner. Exchanging of life-bringing energies. In what way can you do this with your partner? Maybe bringing some more air and breath and lightness into your relationships. Gemini, conchomancy? Concho, I don't know. Seashell divination, wisdom of shells. What else can you bring into your rituals, especially over this super full moon? If you're going to be doing a ritual, it doesn't have to be gems and crystals and stones. It could be things like shells, whatever you are feeling called to, and maybe do a ritual around relationship this super full moon. That's what I am really getting a call for Geminis, is look to more things than you are doing maybe typically in your realm. 2, for wisdom, and get quiet and receive that wisdom. And it could possibly be around wisdom around your relationships. Taurus, time and tide, so oceanic spells and ritual. Taurus is also maybe possibly being called to do some rituals. Get out by the water, by the ocean, by whatever water is around you. That could be soothing and cleansing. And maybe you're feeling a little restricted and in a cage, and maybe this is a relationship cage. Maybe you feel stuck in a relationship, and maybe getting by the water, maybe doing some sort of a ritual or meditating on this will help you start to free yourself from this restriction, or get creative or curious about how you can. And Aries, sacrifice. So are you sacrificing too much? Are you sacrificing too little in your relationships? How is that feeling? How is that landing for you? And let's do one more for the collective. And full moons and super full moons are going to have energy that lasts for a little bit, right? And then because we have that Venus-Sun Chiron aspect happening, could be a lot of deep wounds coming up within relationship to others. So maybe what patterns are we bringing into our relationships today from childhood? What things that are we doing that were keeping us safe in childhood that are no longer working and kind of maybe damaging or bringing problems to our relationships, romantic and otherwise, right? Okay, I'll go with it. We got 3 for the collective. I really love this one. Homeland, arrival. Like we're arriving home. A journey ends, establishment, building, and settled. I really like this one. Yeah, established and settled. Maybe some of us will become established and settled within our relationships. Maybe, I mean, I know that's what I'm looking for in relationship, that feeling of coming home, right? And maybe that's something to move toward. Yeah, I like that. The magic of the Kohelin Druith. So she represents caution, secrecy. Excuse me. And she tends to be wary. So maybe before we enter contracts and agreements, we need to do more research. We should be cautious, because, yeah, we should be cautious of any contract that we are entering. That's always good. And then the last one we got was the crane bag, which represents sacred ocean medicine, and it really calls on us to declutter. And I read a little bit about this. I think the crane bag, let me look this one up. It represented the crane bag holds and protects items that have been bonded with your own energy and symbolize your very essence. And it's your bag that you can draw your own energy from, your own sacred medicine. I really like that. It kind of reminds me of ancestral healing, because, you know, you hear a lot that we get trauma passed down through the lineages, but we also get sacred medicine and gifts. And so maybe this could be a call to tap into those sacred gifts and medicine, to be cautious about the contracts and the relationships that we enter into, and to move toward that feeling of coming home. And maybe this does mark an arrival for many of us. Maybe a journey is ending and we are becoming established and settled in our relationships. Just be sure to read the fine print, and yeah, always know that you have access to your sacred medicine that's passed down through the lineages. I really love that. I'm glad I did that little extra one for us. So that wraps it up. I hope if you are being called to do any ritual this super full moon, that it is nourishing and juicy and wonderful, and I hope you got what you needed out of this reading, and I hope to see you again soon. Goodbye, beautiful souls. See you next time.